the quiet strength. Grace wasn't the loudest in her home. She didn't need to be. Her silence carried more peace than 100 words could ever bring. Every morning before the sun rose, she would light a small candle in the kitchen and whisper a prayer, not for herself, but for everyone she loved. Her husband, who worked long hours, her children, still half asleep, even her home, which sometimes felt tired too. The bills piled up on the table. The days felt heavier than before, but Grace faced it all with calm eyes and steady hands. She didn't fight the storms. She learned to dance in the rain. When others shouted, she listened. When things broke, she mended, not just objects, but hearts. People often mistook her gentleness for weakness, but only she and God knew how many tears had fallen quietly while she smiled through the pain. Her strength wasn't loud. It was holy, humble, and unshakable. Because sometimes, the wisest thing a woman can do is to keep loving when everything tells her to give up. If you believe real strength lives in silent hearts, comment Grace below. One evening, Grace's husband, Thomas, came home with a worried look she had seen too many times before. The company had downsized and his job was gone. The silence in the room felt heavier than the news itself. Their children, unaware, played quietly, sensing the tension in the air. Grace didn't panic. She took Thomas's hands and looked him in the eyes. "We've faced hard days before," she whispered, "and we'll face these too, together." Her voice was calm, but it carried the weight of mountains, the kind of strength that shields everyone else from falling. That night, she stayed up late, counting bills, planning meals, and thinking of ways to stretch every dollar. Yet she also found time to leave small notes for her children. "You are loved, always." She knew despair could creep into their hearts if she faltered. Her wisdom wasn't just managing money or chores, it was managing hope, keeping the family's spirit unbroken. And so, in the darkest hour, Grace became the lighthouse. Not by solving every problem, but by holding everyone steady until the storm passed. If you believe hope can survive even the toughest storms, type faith below. The next morning, the house felt tense again. Not from money or worries, but from the laughter that had turned into a quarrel between her children. Words were sharp, voices raised, and little hearts hurt before anyone could realize it. Grace stepped into the room, her presence gentle but commanding attention. She didn't scold or raise her voice. Instead, she knelt down to their level, took each hand, and said softly, "I know you both love each other, but love doesn't shout or hurt. Can we find words that heal instead of hurt?" The children paused, startled by the calm in her eyes. Grace smiled and told them a small story about two birds fighting over a branch, only to learn that the tree could hold them both if they rested together. By the end, giggles replaced tears, and the quarrel melted into a hug. Her wisdom wasn't in punishing or controlling. It was in showing them how love can guide even the smallest hearts through conflict. Every day, she was quietly shaping the family's harmony, one gentle step at a time. If you believe patience and love can stop any fight, comment peace below. Days turned into weeks, and Thomas still hadn't found work. The worry was creeping into his shoulders, making him silent at the dinner table and restless at night. Grace noticed the strain, but she didn't let it show her own fear. Instead, she brewed his favorite tea, left encouraging notes around the house, and reminded him of every small victory he had achieved in life. One evening, she gently took his hand and said, "I believe in you, always. You've overcome challenges before and you will again. We are a team. Your hope is ours too." Her words were soft, yet they felt like a warm blanket over his anxious heart. Grace also found little ways to keep the children's spirits high, teaching them that the family's strength wasn't measured by money, but by love, patience, and belief in each other. She understood that hope could be nurtured like a fragile flower, with care, attention, and unwavering faith. Through her eyes, Thomas saw light in the darkness, and the children learned that even the hardest moments could be faced together. Her love wasn't loud or flashy. It was steady, quiet, and strong enough to carry them all. If you believe hope can light even the darkest days, type HOPE below. A few months later, the family faced a challenge no one expected. Thomas fell ill, leaving him weak and frustrated. The children were scared, unsure how to act around their once strong father. The bills were still pressing, and the weight of responsibility grew heavier each day. Grace didn't flinch. She became both nurse and counselor, gently guiding her husband through medicine schedules, doctor visits, and the emotional strain of feeling powerless. She cooked warm meals, wiped sweat from his brow, and whispered prayers for his recovery. To the children, she became a beacon of calm, showing them how to care for someone without fear or panic. Even when exhaustion crept into her bones, she smiled. She reminded herself and everyone around her that strength isn't always loud. Sometimes, it's in the quiet moments of love, patience, and unwavering support. Her home, though tested, remained a sanctuary, a place where despair could not settle because Grace's heart held it together. Through her actions, the family realized that real courage wasn't in never falling. It was in holding each other up when life tried to break them. If you believe love can carry us through any trial, comment strength below. As the days went by, Grace noticed small tensions creeping back into the household. Children bickered over toys and chores. Thomas, still recovering, grew impatient with minor mistakes. Instead of scolding, Grace chose to teach by example. One afternoon, she gathered the children and her husband around the kitchen table. "We all make mistakes," she said softly, "but love is stronger than frustration. When you feel anger rising, pause, breathe, and choose kindness instead." She told stories from her own childhood, tales of patience, forgiveness, and understanding, making every lesson a gentle reminder of what truly mattered. Her wisdom wasn't just in words, but in the way she lived it. She listened more than she spoke, forgave more than she judged, and celebrated every small victory, no matter how tiny. Slowly, the house began to feel lighter again. Laughter returned, smiles grew easier, and even Thomas found himself mirroring her calm strength. Grace taught them that patience wasn't a weakness. It was a superpower, a quiet force that could prevent quarrels, heal hearts, and keep a family together through every challenge. If you believe patience can change a family, comment patience below. Life tested Grace once again. Unexpected expenses arrived all at once. Car repairs, school fees, medical bills. It would have crushed anyone else, but not Grace. She sat at the kitchen table with a notebook, carefully planning every expense, calculating every possibility. She didn't complain, she didn't panic. Instead, she involved the family in small ways. She taught the children how to save their allowances, how to prioritize needs over wants, and how to find joy in the little things that money couldn't buy. She reminded Thomas that they were a team, and that every challenge was easier when faced together. Her home remained a sanctuary of calm, despite the storms outside. She made sure laughter still echoed in the halls, meals were shared with gratitude, and prayers were whispered before bed. Even in the toughest moments, Grace's strength and wisdom held the family together. Not because she was unbreakable, but because she refused to let despair take root. Through her example, the family learned that challenges could be faced without fear when love and unity were at the center of every decision. Grace's heart had become the anchor for everyone, steady and unshakable. If you believe a strong heart can hold a family together, comment anchor below. Even in the middle of life's challenges, Grace knew the importance of joy. She believed that laughter could heal what worry and fear tried to break. One rainy afternoon, she gathered the family in the living room, pulled out board games, and started telling stories that had everyone giggling. Thomas, exhausted from work and recovery, smiled more freely than he had in weeks. The children forgot their quarrels and worries as they shared jokes, hugged, and played together. Grace watched them, her heart swelling with quiet pride. She understood that happiness didn't need grand gestures. It lived in small moments of togetherness, love, and laughter. Even a simple walk outside, a shared meal, or a bedtime story became sacred rituals under her guidance. Grace knew that these tiny sparks of joy were the glue that kept their hearts connected, the shield against despair, and the foundation for a strong family. Her wisdom was simple. Hardships would come and go, but love and laughter, nurtured every day, could withstand any storm. If you believe small moments of joy can change a family's life, comment joy below. One evening, tension filled the house. Thomas, stressed from work and his slow recovery, snapped at the children over a minor mistake. The kids, feeling hurt and misunderstood, retreated into silence. Grace noticed the storm brewing and knew she had to act before anger escalated. She approached calmly, placing a gentle hand on Thomas's shoulder and kneeling beside the children. "We all make mistakes," she said softly. "What matters is how we respond. Anger solves nothing, but understanding and love can solve everything." Grace guided them through a conversation, letting each person speak and be heard. She reminded them that being a family wasn't about being perfect, but about listening, forgiving, and choosing love over frustration. Slowly, walls came down, hearts softened, and the room filled with quiet understanding. Through her patience and wisdom, Grace showed that conflicts, no matter how tense, could become opportunities for growth and closeness. Her strength wasn't in controlling the family, but in holding everyone together when emotions ran high. If you believe love and patience can resolve any conflict, comment harmony below. Years passed and the family grew stronger. Thomas recovered fully. The children matured with kindness and patience, and the home remained a sanctuary of love. Yet through it all, everyone knew the true secret behind their resilience: grace. She never sought recognition or praise. She simply loved with quiet determination, carried burdens without complaint, and turned hardships into lessons of hope and faith. Every meal she cooked, every hug she gave, every word of encouragement became threads in the invisible fabric that held the family together. Grace's strength was not about perfection. It was about choosing love every single day, even when exhausted, even when scared, even when life seemed unfair. Because of her, the family learned that home isn't just a place. It's the people who care, support, and never let each other fall. As they gathered one evening, laughter echoing through the house, Thomas whispered to her, "We wouldn't be here without you." Grace smiled softly, knowing that the real reward wasn't words of thanks, but the life and love she had nurtured. If you believe one person's love can change a family, comment grace below and share this story with someone you love.